There we go. Just double checking that the everything's working on the stream. One sec. Seems to be. There we go. Cool. Yesterday we did the Citadel, so most of the exposition's now out of the way, and we can get on with the actual meat and potatoes of the main quest. But the main thing we're going to do first is look outside the viewport and talk to people. So we're going to go to... I'm actually going to move the ship first because it doesn't look like we're stationary, but we're actually at the Citadel right now, so we're not actually moving. The ship's not actually doing anything. So I'm going to move the ship along and get us to Therum. So I'm going to talk about Therum for a bit, but this is one of my favourite parts of the game when you first start using the galaxy map, because the music for the galaxy map is quite famous in gaming, to be fair, so one thing I really like about Galaxy Map and Mass Effect is that, you know, it tells you a little bit of exposition about wherever you're going, wherever you are, which is really, really cool. So obviously with the Citadel, it wasn't designed this way originally. It was designed to be open all the time. When I say open, sort of like a star shape. But the designers felt that was too corny. It was too like a star, basically. You know, it's very cliche. It's a star-shaped thing in the sky. It's not a star. It's a space station. You know, so they basically they wanted the Presidium ring to be looking over all the different wards, all the different arms, and so they changed the actual makeup of the station, the Citadel station, to look like this. So yeah, when you look out over buildings and windows and things, you can actually see all the different arms, which is pretty cool. Aside from that, you know, this one thing that pulls people in quite a lot is that, you know, Mass Effect is the reason why I say it takes more after Star Trek than it does things like Star Wars. It's because it's based in science, it's based in reality, a lot more than Star Trek is. In Star Trek, generally you have like characters who just say things like, "Ah, yes, it's a quantum cyclonic volumizer," and you know, they just sort of like explain things away in a very haphazardy, techno-barbary way, and that, you know, you're meant to just go along with it. Well, what BioWare did with Mass Effect is that they actively did research. They had an entire division there to look into, you know, if we had the ability to go to different star systems, what do actual scientists think are out there? You know, how much would this, like, look, the Citadel, you know, they would go to engineers and say, hey, we have a station that is 44 kilometers long. You know, how heavy would that be? Oh, 7.11 billion tons. You know, so things like that. And obviously, Earth is down here somewhere, which we do go to in this game. We don't go to Earth, but we go to near Earth. But can't seem to see anything else. Oh yeah. No, that was wrong. Sorry. This is just the Serpent Nebula. Sorry, and Earth is down here. So I think it's the local cluster, which is around here somewhere. But this is the Milky Way, and yeah, the Citadel is over here somewhere. Serpent Nebula. These are all actual nebulas, by the way, or most of them are anyway. So we're going to go to the Artemis Tau cluster, and if I remember correctly, These are all named after, of course, ancient Greek city-states. We're going to Macedon, I think. Let's go there. Yara's dig site should be on... Oh, it's not here. Shit, we got the wrong one. Maybe we do. Okay, Knossos then. That's my second guess. Yep, there it is. So we're going to come out of this for now and go and talk to our crew for a bit. Because in my head canon, we're in transit right now. We're not actually, you know, there yet.
If anyone has to take over for Captain Anderson, I'm glad it's you. I'm not sure about having non-humans on our ship, though.
I'm in charge here, Presley. I decide if we have non-humans on this vessel.
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Speak freely, Presley. I want to know if you have a problem with non-humans.
It's not that, Commander. Humanity has always handled its own problems. Saren attacked one of our colonies. We should be the ones to stop it. We don't need their help.
This is bigger than humanity. Saren's a threat to every species in the galaxy, and I'll welcome anyone who wants to help me bring him down.
I guess so. Maybe I'm just stuck in the old ways of thinking. But don't worry, Commander. This won't be a problem.
How did you end up assigned to the Normandy?
I signed up with the Alliance as a navigator right out of school, following in my grandfather's footsteps, I guess. My first posting was on the Agincourt. We were at Elysium during the Skillian Blitz. A massive fleet of alien raiders hit the colony, trying to wipe it out. They had the numbers, but their ships were no match for an Alliance frigate. It was a slaughter. We couldn't even keep track of how many ships they lost.
How'd you end up on the Normandy?
I got my officer's commission after Elysium. Must have made an impression on the right people. Captain asked for me when he was picking his crew.
Carry on, Presley.
Yes, sir.
Cool. I don't get how that's a renegade action. That wasn't really ruthless. I was just telling him to, like, you know, I'm fucking in charge, so do whatever I say. See, now I can see outside, there is space. Because we're on our way to our next destination.
Commander, something you need?
How's the Normandy performing? Is she everything they said she'd be?
She's the best ship in the fleet, if you've got a pilot who knows how to handle her. Balance isn't what you'd expect. Takes a while to get used to that oversized drive core we got stuffed in the back, and her power can sneak up on you if you're not careful. The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander. Lucky for you, I'm anything but average.
I like to know my crew. Mind if I ask you a few questions?
I can see where this is going. You did a background check on me, didn't you? Well, I'll tell you the same thing I told the captain. You want me as your pilot. I'm not good. I'm not even great. I am the best damn helmsman in the Alliance fleet. Top of my class in flight school, I earned that. All those commendations in my file, I earned every single one. Those weren't given to me as charity for my disease.
I can't have you on this ship if you're going to infect my crew.
Infect the crew? Oh man, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Okay, I've got Vrolik syndrome, brittle bone disease. The bones in my legs never develop properly. They're basically hollow, too much force and they'll shatter. Even with crutches and my leg braces, it's hard to get around. One wrong step and crack! It's very dramatic, but I've learned to manage my condition, Commander. Put the Normandy in my hands and I'll make her dance for you. Just don't ask me to get up and dance unless, you know, you like the sound of snapping shin bones.
So, I did a bit of looking around. Vrolik's disease is actually a real thing. And infants do not survive it, generally, nowadays. And I think Joker actually says that if it was 150 years ago, because this takes place 150 years into the future, if it was 150 years ago, he'd have died. He wouldn't have been alive at all, which I think is quite cool. You know, it shows you how far science comes in 150 years.
I need to know more about this Vrolik syndrome if I'm putting my ship in your hands.
Yeah, of course you do. It's an extremely rare condition. Nobody knows exactly what causes it. Genetic, maybe. It's treatable, but there's no cure. I classify my case as moderate to severe. I was born with over a dozen fractures, hip, thighs, ankles. My bones were already breaking in the womb. 100 years ago, I wouldn't have survived past my first year. Lucky for me, modern medical science has turned me into a productive member of society.
There you go.
You're not gonna break a bone trying to fly the ship, are you?
I don't fly with my feet, Commander, so I'm fine as long as I'm in this chair. I gotta be real careful when I get up to take a piss, though. I can do my job as well as anyone on the ship. Better, actually. So don't worry about it.
I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about something else.
Whatever you want, Commander.
Why does everyone call you Joker?
It's a lot shorter than saying Alliance Flight Lieutenant Jeff Moreau. Plus, I love to make little children laugh.
You're dodging the question.
Look, I didn't pick the name. One of the instructors in flight school used to bug me about never smiling. She started calling me Joker, and it stuck.
Why didn't you ever smile?
Hey, I worked my ass off in flight school, Commander. The world's not gonna hand you anything if you go around grinning like an idiot. By the end of the year, I was the best pilot in the academy, even better than the instructors, and everybody knew it. They'd all got their asses kicked by the sickly kid with the creaky little legs. One guess who was smiling at graduation?
I have to go.
Alright, see ya.
So, two things about this. One, I hate the way he says goodbye to you. It really fucking annoys me. And number two, he has an attitude. But unlike characters in later BioWare games, like the writing staff in BioWare went so fucking downhill as the years went on. But unlike people in BioWare years later, people would have an attitude like Jokers for no reason, and you'd just be looking at them and they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm just your standard character who, you know, doesn't put up with your shit and blah blah blah, and I don't have to like you." And it makes you go, "You know what, dude? Yeah, get fucked." You know, Joker has a reason for being the way he is. You know, he has an absolutely valid reason for, you know, being so in your face and being so much of a focused, sarcastic asshole, because he's had to deal with a lot of shit. Now, there is something in Mass Effect 3 that I really loved, and it's the fact that you can actually... A mission in Mass Effect 3 goes really wrong, and you actually have the option to snap. You actually have the option to just tell Joker that he's a fucking asshole, and he needs to just shut his mouth. And I think that's really, really, really cleverly done. I'm the only person I know of who does it every single time, because it's just so natural, because they've been through so much by that game. That, you know, that's what you do when you're in these situations. You turn on the ones you love, you know what I mean? Like you literally hurt the ones you love. And so these two, like, know each other so well. And they get into a huge argument about it, and they don't speak to each other till, like, nearly the end of the game, which I think is really, it's really cool. But no one has the balls to do it. Just do it. Like, you know, that's what human beings would do. It's not an, you know, it's not an ideal world, you know? I try not to think about it that way anyway. I try to, you know. Now, when you're speaking to people in Mass Effect, I normally try to make sure that it at least sounds realistic when they're speaking. We're about to see the most shiny head in existence. From what I remember. Yep, there you go.
Anything you need, Commander?
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
I've wasted enough of your time for now, Commander. We'll have time for personal debriefings later.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
I don't see how we could have done things any better. At least not without getting to Eden Prime sooner. And we were on the scene faster than any other Alliance ship could have been.
We'll talk another time, Lieutenant.
Commander?
Yeah, Kaiden is just the most boring character. I swear to God. Do you know what? I think it's time for us to go. I don't think anyone else is going to have anything to say. I think it's time to go and do this mission, to be honest. But, I'm going to go downstairs and just double check. A drink of my tea. Just 1 second, just want to check something real quick.
Hey, Commander. Looking for some extra supplies before you head out?
What have you got?
Whatever you want. Armor, weapons, mods. It's not standard Alliance issue, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Well, as long as you don't mind paying for it.
Why should I pay you for my weapons and armor?
My stuff doesn't come from the Alliance. I have to purchase it myself, and it's not cheap. Hell, the licenses alone have set me back more than I'd like. But no licenses, no goods. Without the goods, I'm out of a job.
What are licenses? Why do you need them?
Manufacturers sell licenses. Each license allows me to buy and sell a certain brand of products. I already have several basic ones, but you'll need to buy more if you want me to bring in different brands. Many of the best licenses are hard to get, but they're well worth the cost if you can find them.
So licenses are only in this game. They're not really in any other games.
Let's see what you've got.
You bet, Commander.
Yeah, all of it's out of my price range anyway. Yeah, they're not really in any other game, so you don't really need to worry about it. No, that's all shit. Actually, Scorpion's quite good. Let's do that.
Thanks for bringing me on board, Commander. I knew working with the Spectre would be better than life at C-Sec.
Have you worked with a Spectre before?
Well, no, but I know what they're like. Spectres make their own rules. You're free to handle things your way. At C-Sec, you're buried by rules. The damn bureaucrats are always on your back.
Being a Spectre does have its advantages.
Exactly my point. If I'm trying to take down a suspect, it shouldn't matter how I do it, as long as I do it. But C-Sec wants it done their way. Protocol and procedure come first. That's why I left.
So you just quit because you didn't like the way they do things?
There's more to it than that. It didn't start out bad, but as I rose in ranks, I got saddled with more and more red tape. C-Sec's handling of Saren was typical. I just couldn't take it anymore. I hate leaving.
You did the right thing. Life's too short to sit around waiting for things to happen.
Yeah, you're probably right. Either way, I plan to make the most of this. And without C-Sec headquarters looking over my shoulder, well, maybe I can get the job done my way for a change.
As long as you do your job well, you're free to go about your business as you see fit.
Thank you, Commander.
That's probably how I'd run a boat as well, to be honest. But yeah, Garrus is one of those characters that essentially changes completely over the course of the games, and I think they all do that, apart from probably maybe Ashley and Kaiden, the two humans on board at the moment, and of course Jacob in Mass Effect 2, which we'll get to him when the time is right.
Nice ship you got, Shepard. What can I do for you?
What's your story, Rex?
There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
You Krogan lived for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't had a few interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
They tried the same with us, but we fought them off.
It's not the same.
Seems similar enough to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation? An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth? And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
You're still here. It can't be all that bad.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
I was just making conversation. I wasn't trying to upset you.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. We're too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
What can you tell me about the Genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it. All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected. Every one. And no one's rushing to find a cure.
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist? Ask a Krogan. Would he rather find a cure for the Genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
So, what was described there as one of the more well, not really controversial, definitely one of the more touchstone subjects in the entire series with the Genophage that happened to the Krogan, which is the race that Rex is a part of. Essentially, as we discussed last time, the Krogan saved the galaxy from the Rachni, which is basically a xenomorph type race that nearly wiped everybody out. So the Solarians, who are the scientific arm of the Council races, uplifted the Krogan, who weren't really ready for spacefight, but they uplifted the Krogan to be an intergalactic species, and the Krogan just massacred the Rachni. They then wanted more sane policy, they wanted this, they wanted that, and so they ended up getting into a rebellion with everybody, and they were winning until the Council races infected them with the Genophage. Krogans can have thousands of children. Essentially, they can have a few hundred a year each, which means that they repopulate extremely quickly. But what the Genophage does is it brings only 1 in 1,000 births is viable. So it basically brings the reproduction down to normal levels, and that's something that people don't really get. You know, I mean, the Solarians. There's a Solarian crew member in Mass Effect 2 who tells you that that's all the Genophage does. It doesn't actually sterilize them or do anything like that. It just makes only 1 in 1,000 births viable, like that comes to term. And that is simply because if the Krogan were allowed to reproduce as they normally do, there would be billions of them in a few thousand years, and they would just completely, you know, take over the galaxy. They'd invade in all directions and take everyone over. And so the Krogans are pulled down so they can only reproduce as quickly as humans, for example, which is what they are now. But because of the way the Krogan are, the way that they fight, the way that their culture is based in essentially, you know, being at war, means that too many of them are dying out. Essentially, too many of them are dying out and being killed as mercenaries, things like that, because of the Genophage. So. But to be honest with you, he said it's killing his species, but even Rex says, you know, the Genophage infected them, but it's not what's killing them. And what's killing them is their attitude. What's killing them is the fact that they don't want to change, the fact that they don't want to be normal. You know, that they want to fight, as Rex just said. They want to fight, that they're just too stubborn. Rex is a very forward-thinking Krogan, which is why I don't really believe or put any stock behind how he is in Mass Effect 3, because in Mass Effect 3 he wants to cure the Genophage. He's obsessed with it, and even in this game he's obsessed with curing the Genophage at the end, when the time comes where you know he sees a chance to. But that's not what he just said. He literally just said the Genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us. You know, whenever you talk to Rex, especially later on in the game, he wants people to calm down. He wants people to just shut the fuck up and focus on breeding for a few hundred years, just so, you know, his people can be alright, and then if you want to carry on fighting, then you can. You know? I look at the Genophage like, it's basically the Council races saying, hey, with your normal reproduction cycle, you can't be a part of the Council, you can't be a part of our universe, because you reproduce too quickly. You're going to take everyone over, and everyone will be terrified of you, because fucking look at you. You know, you can rip us all apart if you wanted to. So the Genophage gives them a chance to actually be normal. and it's supposed to curb their urges. It's supposed to curb all of that, anger and resentment, but it does completely the opposite, because, hey ho, sterilizing an entire race, but not really sterilizing them, but, doing that with an entire race isn't really the best thing to do in solving anger issues, but go figure.
Commander?
Do you have a few minutes to talk one-on-one?
I'm sorry, Commander. I need to get my duties squared away. I wouldn't mind talking more later, though.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Kinda wish you'd got there sooner, Commander. No offense, I appreciate the rescue. I just wish...
You wish we'd been able to save the rest of your unit?
Yes, sir. If I had been more alert, we wouldn't have been cut down by an ambush.
The answer seems plain enough to me. Be more alert.
Aye, aye, Commander. I'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
Dismissed, Chief.
Sir.
Okay. Let's go do a mission. I would talk to Tali, but nah, fuck it, yeah, let's talk to Tali.
Hey, Commander, you know that Quarian, Tali? She's been spending all her time down here asking me about our engines.
I'll tell her to leave you alone.
What? No, she's amazing. I wish my guys were half as smart as she is. Give her a month on board and she'll know more about our engines than I do. She's got a real knack for technology, that one. I can see why you wanted her to come along.
I figured she'd be a real asset to the team.
You've got an eye for Tali, Commander, but I'm guessing that's not why you came down here.
Fill me in on the IES stealth systems. How does it work exactly?
You can't hide a ship out in space. They emit too much heat and radiation. Too easy for sensors to pick them up, unless you find a way to capture those emissions. So our stealth systems trap the energy we give off in storage sinks built into the ship itself. No emissions to give away our location. Eventually the sinks have to be vented. More than a few hours silent running and they overheat. Cook us inside our own hull.
There's no way for anyone to detect us?
A visual scan can still pick us up. Anyone looking out a window can see us plain as day. But you have to be pretty close to get an actual visual out in space. Most vessels rely on scanners. As long as the stealth systems are engaged, they can't see us. Not unless we accelerate to FTL speeds.
Why doesn't it work with faster-than-light travel?
Cranking up the FTL blue shifts our emissions, pushes them into frequencies too high to capture in the sinks. As soon as we make the jump, it's like setting off a flare. Sensors can pick up our location whenever we enter or exit FTL flight, but for short-range missions, our stealth systems are amazing, and we've got the only one.
So if you missed that, essentially, why am I explaining it? You just explained it.
I want to know more about the Normandy.
She's the best ship I've ever served on. Probably the fastest vessel ever designed. She's the only one using the new Tantalus drive core.
What's so special about the Tantalus drive core?
Proportionally, it's about twice the size of any other vessel. Not only are we faster, we can run at FTL speeds longer before we have to discharge the core.
Where else have you served, Adams?
You name a class of Alliance ship, I've probably served on it. Dreadnoughts and carriers, right down to frigates like the Normandy. My last assignment was on the Tokyo, only a cruiser, but she was a good ship. Couldn't hold a candle to the Normandy, though.
Carry on, Adams.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Your ship's amazing, Shepard. I've never seen a drive core like this before. I can't believe you were able to fit it into a ship this small. I'm starting to understand why you humans have been so successful. I had no idea Alliance vessels were so advanced.
The Normandy's a prototype. Cutting-edge technology.
A month ago, I was patching a makeshift fuel line into a converted tug ship in the flotilla. Now, I'm sitting on board one of the most advanced vessels in Citadel space. I have to thank you again for bringing me along. Traveling on a vessel like this is a dream come true for me.
I had no idea you found ship technology so interesting.
It comes with being a Quarian. The migrant fleet is the key to the survival of my people. Ships are our most valuable resource. But we don't have anything like this. We make do with cast-offs and second-hand equipment. We just try to keep them running for as long as we can. Some of the fleet's larger vessels date all the way back to our original flight from the get.
I can't believe your fleet's still using ships that are 3 centuries old.
They're constantly being repaired, modified, and refitted. They aren't pretty, but they work. Mostly. We've tried to make ourselves as independent as possible on the flotilla. Grow our own food, mine, and process our own fuel. But some things we just can't make on our own. A patch to maintain the hull integrity requires raw materials we just don't have. That's why our pilgrimages are so important.
Tell me about your people.
Our lives aren't easy. Resources are scarce, and we are constantly on the move. Everything we do must in some way contribute to the continuation of the migrant fleet. There are 17 million Quarians in the flotilla, and each of us relies on the others for survival. The bonds among my people are strong. Unfortunately, we have had to surrender many of the freedoms and civil liberties other species take for granted.
What kind of freedoms?
Well, it's illegal for parents to have more than one child. If our population grows too much, it would strain our resources to their breaking point. Of course, we also can't allow our numbers to become too few. If our population is in decline, the rule against single births is temporarily repealed. In extreme cases of population decline, incentives are even offered to encourage multiple births, though the Conclave hasn't had to take such measures in nearly a century.
That's your government.
The Conclave is our civilian branch of government. Each ship can elect a representative to serve on the Conclave and make decisions that affect the fleet as a whole. On matters that affect an individual ship, however, the captain has the final say. It's a tradition that dates back to the early days, when the fleet was governed by martial law. Fortunately, most captains nowadays are smart enough to have an elected council from their crew to give them advice and guidance.
So the ultimate power rests with elected officials.
In practice, the Conclave and the respective council for each ship tend to set the rules that govern our daily lives. But in theory, we are still under military jurisdiction. The 5 top-ranking military officials in the fleet serve on the Admiralty Board. These 5 have the power to overrule any decision by the Conclave in case of emergency. To do so requires unanimous agreement among the Admiralty, and they can only do this once. After that, the entire board must resign their posts. It's a safeguard that served us well. In nearly 3 centuries, the Admiralty Board has only overruled the Conclave 4 times.
Alright, I'm done. Yeah.
I should go.
See you later.
Yeah, you can get the information out of her at any point in the game. 1 second. Yeah, you can actually get that information at any point. So I won't do it all now. There we go. It's about time we do some actual mission stuff, rather than just constant talking and talking and talking. Essentially what they did, and that's why I say it's got more to do with Star Trek than any other thing, because in Star Trek the actual budget for the show was so small that they had to stand around the ship talking all the time. They couldn't be fighting. You know, every time Captain Kirk fought an alien, it looked comical. You know, so they had to stand around the ship talking about human issues and things like that, and which is exactly what this game does. And this is Therum. Therum in the actual game wasn't called Therum in the original game. It was meant to be called Calliston, and BioWare described the development of Mass Effect 1 as, and I quote, the land of compromise, because they had such grand ideas for the series, but they never really came to fruition in Mass Effect 1, simply because the hardware that they were working with and the engine that they were working with was so limited. They built most of the development time for Mass Effect 1 was used up making the engine. This is a brand new engine doing brand new things. So yeah, Calliston was cut out of the game to save time. It was supposed to be its own Citadel-sized hub. I mean, you saw how big the Citadel was last time. Well, every single hub we go to is supposed to be that sized. And Calliston was going to be the wretched hive of scum and villainy, where all of the bad people would hang out, where you'd have to come and try and find Liara. But it turned out just being they downsized it to just being a mining. What we're about to see was basically the end of the Calliston level. Like Calliston was supposed to be this big city, and eventually you find out where Liara is, and then you go into the wilderness of Calliston to find Liara. And this is that part of the game. So. Go with Rex and Ashley, why not?
Commander, I'm picking up some strange readings. Really strange, like off the damn charts. It looks like it's coming from an underground complex a few clicks away from the drop zone.
So, this is part of the game where, imagine we've just come out of a city. We've just done like 3 hours of trying to find information on Liara, and now finally we're going to go get her. That's what would have happened, but now that was all cut out, and now we're in the final part of that mission. And as we go through the game, you'll soon see that game itself is designed that way. Like every single main mission you do, like on Noveria and separate places, is actually designed in that very same way. Good. It stays alive under there. For as long it tries to get up, look. It's trying to get up. No. You stay under there. Nope. Alright, you can get up. Just kidding. Oh, he's getting up. Goodbye.
Only a fool punches a knapsack in the mouth. We should sneak around and pull its tail.
Okay. Whoops. Well, the Mako is ridiculous in how poorly it handles. I know he's in there somewhere. Got him.
Perimeter secured.
So the vehicle we're using is called the Mako, and the Mako is known for being incredibly unreliable to drive. It is a shit show, but it's so bad that it earned quite a lot of love and endearment by a lot of people. It's one of those so bad it's good things. I've always hated that expression, so bad it's good. Oh, what a shot. What a shot. Oh, love it. Boom. Goodbye. Just really slowly run him over. Poor guy. After he turned around the bit of cover with gunfire and then shot him. No, I think you can get over this with the Mako, but it takes so long. It just not worth it. But we'll try it once or twice. Yeah, yeah. No, I swear there's an invisible wall there.
Hostile contact.
Holy shit.
Shields.
Ow.
I've lost shields.
Wondering if how broken this shotgun is. Oh, you're kidding me. Shouldn't work. I'm sniping him with a shotgun, for fuck's sake. Shit, stupid. That is so stupid. I think... And I'm the guy who complains about fucking... You know, PUBG's... PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds shotguns being like rifles. Ridiculous. That's how a fucking shotgun should work.
Think we're good, Commander.
So do I. Down, down, down. Oops. Really has not aged well, this game, has it? 10 years.
Lost shields.
Got him. Okay, that didn't work. hell, took long enough. Did not want to go down, did he? Down we go. So Liara is essentially digging up Prothean tech, is what she's doing. And yeah. Oh shit. Oh, fuck off. Oh shit, yeah. Get out of the way! Stupid woman.
All targets down.
Yeah, no thanks to you. Yeah, so Liara's basically digging up Prothean tech, and she's an archaeologist, and she is the daughter of the Asari that we saw before with Seren. So we're going to get some more information out of her about shit that's going down.
Fit over the side.
Take them out.
What? Oh. Could have died there.
Can you hear me out there? I'm trapped. I need help.
Quit shouting. This place is crawling with Geth.
Sorry, I am a little... Look, my name is Dr. Liara T'Soni. I am an archaeologist. Listen, this thing I'm in is a Prothean security device. I cannot move, so I need you to get me out of it, all right?
Your mother is working with Seren. Whose side are you on?
What? I am not on anybody's side. I may be Benezia's daughter, but I'm nothing like her. I have not spoken to her in years. Please, just get me out of here.
How'd you end up in there?
I was exploring the ruins when the Geth showed up, so I hid in here. Can you believe that? Geth, beyond the veil! I activated the tower's defenses. I knew the barrier curtains would keep them out. When I turned it on, I must have hit something I wasn't supposed to. I was trapped in here. You must get me out, please!
Any suggestions on how we can help?
There is a control in here that should deactivate this thing. You'll have to find some way past the barrier curtain. That's the tricky part. The defenses cannot be shut off from the outside. I don't know how you'll get in here. Be careful. There is a Krogan with the Geth. They have been trying different ways to get past the barrier.
Now, the funny thing is, you can do your quests in Mass Effect 1 in any order that you want. If you go and get Liara last, she's actually suffering from starvation when you get here, so she's delusional. And, quite like... And one thing people don't really get, that is Reaper Tech. And there's a Geth. But that is Reaper Tech. That's like a Reaper cannon that no one really gets. Shit. The Cthulhu influence of the Reapers, the Lovecraftian influence of the Reapers, can't really be seen yet. Towards the end of the game is when you see that. Just thought I'd say, because you can see the Reaper cannon there. It's not as in. But that is an aesthetic that they go with in later games. The way that the husks look. When you see, humans that have been infected with the Reaper tech, the glowing blue and things like that. So the blue glowing stuff is Reapery. Okay, this is a trial by error puzzle. There we go. Ugh. There we go. Bloody got that switched off. Before running down here. Yeah, there she is.
How did you get in here? I didn't think there was any way past the barrier.
We blasted through with the mining laser.
Of course. Yes, that makes sense. Please, get me out of here before more Geth arrive. That button over there should shut down this containment field.
Any idea how we get out of this place?
There is an elevator back in the center of the tower. At least I think it's an elevator. It should take us out of here. Come on!
Okay, cool.
I still cannot believe all this. Why would the Geth come after me? Do you think Benezia's involved?
Saren's looking for the conduit. Think fast, Miss Prothean expert.
The conduit? But I don't know...
What the hell was that?
These ruins are not stable. That mining laser must have triggered a seismic event.
Yeah.
We have to hurry. The whole place is caving in.
Joker, get the Normandy airborne and lock in on my signal. On the double, mister.
Aye, aye, Commander. Secure and away. ETA 8 minutes.
Could you say that more like a Boy Scout,
Gonna be
please?
close, Skipper.
If I die in here, I'll kill him.
See, Rex always says the cool stuff. And Ashley is very jealous of other women. I don't know why. Because none of that is going on right now in the game. Nothing romantic's going on at the moment. But, yeah, she gets really weird with people. What? Sorry, I couldn't hear you with the ominous music.
We don't have time to deal with this idiot. Charge!
I like your attitude.
Whee. There, dude.
Too close, Commander. 10 more seconds we would have been swimming in molten sulfur. The Normandy isn't equipped to land in exploding volcanoes. They tend to fry our sensors and melt our hull. Just for future reference.
We almost died out there, and your pilot is making jokes?
Sometimes Joker's a real ass. Just try to ignore him.
I see. It must be a human thing. I don't have a lot of experience dealing with your species, Commander. But I am grateful to you. You saved my life back there, and not just from the volcano. Those Geth would have killed me or dragged me off to Saren.
What did Saren want with you? Do you know something about the conduit?
Only that it was somehow connected to the Prothean extinction. That is my real area of expertise. I have spent the past 50 years trying to figure out what happened to them.
How old are you exactly?
I hate to admit it, but I am only 106.
Damn! I hope I look that good when I'm your age.
A century may seem like a long time to a short-lived species like yours, but among the Asari I am barely considered more than a child. That is why my research has not received the attention it deserves. Because of my youth, other Asari scholars tend to dismiss my theories on what happened to the Protheans.
Did your research turn up anything interesting?
What is interesting is what I did not turn up. There is remarkably little archaeological evidence of the Protheans, and even less that might explain why they disappeared. It is almost as if someone did not want the mystery solved. It is like someone came along after the Protheans were gone and cleansed the galaxy of clues. But here is the incredible part. According to my findings, the Protheans were not the first galactic civilization to mysteriously vanish. This cycle began long before them.
Where'd you come up with this theory? I thought there wasn't any evidence.
I have been working on this for 50 years. I have tracked down every scrap and shred of evidence. Eventually, subtle patterns start to emerge, patterns that hint at the truth. It is difficult to explain to someone else. I cannot point to one specific thing to prove my case. It is more a feeling derived from a half-century of dedicated research. But I know I'm right, and eventually I will be able to prove it. There were other civilizations before the Protheans. This cycle has repeated itself many times over.
If the Protheans weren't the first, then who was?
I don't know. There is barely any evidence on the Protheans, even less on those who came before them. I cannot prove my theory, but I know I am right. The galaxy is built on a cycle of extinction. Each time a great civilization rises up, it is suddenly and violently cast down. Only ruins survive. The Protheans rose up from a single world until their empire spanned the entire galaxy. Yet even they climbed to the top on the remains of those who came before. Their greatest achievements, the mass relays and the Citadel, are based on the technology of those who came before them. And then, like all the other forgotten civilizations throughout galactic history, the Protheans disappeared. I have dedicated my life to figuring out why.
They were wiped out by a race of sentient machines. The Reapers.
The Reapers? But I have never heard of. How do you know this? What evidence do you have?
There was a damaged Prothean beacon on Eden Prime. It burned a vision into my brain. I'm still trying to sort out what it all means.
Visions. Yes, that makes sense. The beacons were designed to transmit information directly into the mind of the user. Finding one that still works is extremely rare. No wonder the Geth attacked Eden Prime. The chance to acquire a working beacon, even a badly damaged one, is worth almost any risk. But the beacons were only programmed to interact with Prothean physiology. Whatever information you received would have been confused, unclear. I am amazed you were able to make sense of it at all. A lesser mind would have been utterly destroyed by the process. You must be remarkably strong-willed, Commander.
Okay, this isn't helping us find Saren or the conduit.
Of course, you are right. I am sorry, my scientific curiosity got the better of me. Unfortunately, I do not have any information that could help you find the conduit, or Saren.
I don't know why Saren wanted you out of the picture, but I think we'll be a lot better off if we bring you along.
Thank you, Commander. Saren might come after me again. I cannot think of anywhere safer than here on your ship. And my knowledge of the Protheans might be useful later on.
And her biotics will come in handy when the fighting starts.
Good to have you on the team, Liara.
Thank you, Commander. I am very grateful. Oh, I am afraid I am feeling a bit lightheaded.
When was the last time you ate? Or slept? Dr. Chakwa should take a look at you.
It is probably just mental exhaustion, coupled with the shock of discovering the Prothean's true fate. I need some time to process all this. Still, it could not hurt to be examined by a medical professional. It will give me the chance to think things over. Are we finished here, Commander?
Go see the doctor. The rest of you, dismissed.
Mission reports are filed, Commander. You want me to patch you through to the Council?
Patch him through, Joker.
Setting up the link now, Commander.
We've received your report, Commander. I understand Dr. Tassoni is on the Normandy.
I assume you're taking the necessary security precautions.
Don't tell me how to do my job.
You are free to act as you see fit, Commander. Our role is to offer guidance and advice.
It's up to you if you're smart enough to listen.
I don't need this.
Communications cut, Commander.
Gotta do it every time. Alright. That's right, it's a short mission. Again, I think the reason why it's so short is because it's supposed to be a lot longer than that. But it ended up not being so.
Yes, Commander? Is there something you need?
How did you end up serving on an Alliance ship?
I enlisted right out of med school. Earth always seemed boring to me. Too safe, too secure. I figured the colonies were teeming with exotic adventure. I wanted to travel the stars, tending the wounds of tough soldiers with piercing eyes and sensitive souls. Turns out military life isn't quite as romantic as I'd imagined. But humanity needs the Alliance if we want to keep expanding through the Traverse, and the Alliance always needs good doctors. So I stayed on to do my part.
Ever think you made the wrong choice?
Sometimes I think about opening a private practice back on Earth, or maybe taking a position at one of the new med centers out in the colonies. But there's something special about working on soldiers. If I left the Alliance now, I'd feel like I was abandoning them.
How well do you know the Lieutenant?
I'd never worked with him before this mission. But he has an impressive service record, over a dozen special commendations. Tends to keep to himself, though. Maybe because of the headaches. It's not easy being an L2.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, most biotics now use the L3 implants. Lieutenant Alenko was wired with the old L2 configuration. Sometimes there are complications.
What kind of complications?
Severe mental disabilities, insanity, crippling physical pain. There's a long list of horrific side effects. Hayden's lucky. He just gets migraines.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
So those are biotic amps, and that's what you have installed in your head if you're a biotic. Very odd.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
You look much better. How are you feeling?
Dr. Chakwas assures me I am going to be fine. I was impressed with her knowledge of Asari physiology.
You're in good hands. Dr. Chakwas knows what she's doing.
I never properly thanked you for saving me from the Geth, Commander. If you hadn't shown up,
I'm just glad we got there in time.
So am I. I know you took a chance bringing me aboard this ship. I have seen the way your crew looks at me. They do not trust me. But I am not like Benezia. I will do whatever I can to help you stop Saren. I promise.
Don't worry, Liara. I trust you. I know you won't let me down.
It means a lot to hear you say that, Commander. Thank you.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
You must enjoy something about it.
I love my work. Seeking out history's lost secrets has a special appeal for me. You were actually touched by working Prothean technology. That is why I find you so fascinating, Commander.
Sounds like you want to dissect me in a lab somewhere.
What? No! I did not mean to insinuate. I never meant to offend you, Shepard. I only meant that you would be an interesting specimen for an in-depth study. No, that's even worse.
Calm down, Liara. I was only joking.
Joking?
Some of this voice
Oh,
acting.
by the goddess! How could I be so dense? You must think I am a complete and utter fool. Now you know why I prefer to spend my time in the field with data disks and computers. I always seem to say something embarrassing around other people. Please, just pretend this conversation never happened.
I should go.
Goodbye, Shepard.
It's just the voice acting. It's just like, calm down, Liara. I was only joking. Fucking hell. He does get better.
Anything you need, Commander?
Just trying to get a sense of where the crew's at. Thoughts?
Is this an official evaluation, Commander? Or off the record?
Alenko, when it's just you and me, you can consider it off the record.
That's a generous attitude. Okay. I think there's something wrong with all this. This Saren is looking for records on some kind of galactic extinction, but we can't get backup from the Council? Sorry, Commander. There's writing on the wall here, but someone isn't reading it.
The Council doesn't want to believe anything's wrong. I'd call it human nature, but...
I hear you. It just seems like a group that's been around as long as the Council should see this coming. Sorry if I got too informal. Protocol wasn't a big focus back in Bot.
Tell me about it.
Biotic acclimation and temperance didn't last past the airlock. To the kids they hauled in, it was brain camp. Sorry, hauled in is unkind. We were encouraged to commit to an evaluation of our abilities so an understanding of biotics could be compiled. There are worse results of accidental exposure to element 0 in a room. Beats the brain tumors some kids grew up with.
I heard all about that. How companies would arrange accidents to expose people to element 0.
There was never any proof of that. It's not what happened in my case, anyway. My mother was downwind of a transport crash. It was before there were human biotics, a little after the discovery of the Martian ruins. It only gets iffy around 63 when Kinetics was running out of first-gen subjects. Until then, they'd relied on accidentals. A bunch of guys in suits show up at your door after school, and next thing you know, you're out on Jump Zero.
So, essentially what he's talking about is element 0, which is the element that lets people travel faster than the speed of light. And that's one thing about science fiction that I never really liked, is faster than the speed of light, because it's impossible. Which is why you know you have storytellers who make up mumbo jumbo like element 0, things that don't actually exist. You know, even to get near the speed of light would require stuff that we just don't have at the moment. But at least when you're going near the speed of light, physics still reacts in the same way. Once you push past the speed of light, the laws of physics start to break down and do really weird things. Which is why I've never liked it in science fiction, because if you're going at the speed of light, these weird things would be happening. Like you know, you'd be arriving 200 years ahead of the event you're actually going to. You know, let's say there's a party on in Andromeda somewhere, not Andromeda, but let's say there's a party going on in the Serpent in the Horsehead Nebula. Okay, so we jump over there at that speed of light, and we'll probably arrive 200 years before it actually fucking starts. You know, do you know? So yeah, I've never really liked FTL, but in this setting, FTL is made possible by element 0 by running an electric current through element 0. You can drive the ship's mass down, so that when you actually fire up your engines and go, it's basically like a feather being pushed along by a rocket engine, so it goes faster than the speed of light. That's the, you know, that's the theory anyway. It doesn't really work for me, but hey, that's what it is. And Kaiden is a biotic, so essentially he became a biotic because he was exposed to element 0 as a child. There was a shipment of it, and it crashed over one of his habitations, and he developed biotic powers. And what he's now describing is the school that kids were taken to just when humanity had started to discover biotics, to learn how to be a better space wizard.
Jump Zero is Gagarin Station, right? What's it like?
Yeah, that's the official name. Biggest and farthest facility we had for decades. Right on the termination shock, the outer edge of the solar system. It's where they did all the Goose Chase FTL research before we caught on to using mass effect fields. It was a sterile research platform when I was there.
There were other kids in the same boat, right? At least you weren't alone out there.
That's true. We did have a little circle that'd get together every night before lights out. We didn't have much to do, though. It was a research platform then, and Canadix kept Jump Zero off the extranet to prevent leaks.
You were all teenagers. I'm sure you found other ways to occupy the time.
I'm not the sort who does that kind of thing, Commander. Not lightly, anyway. There was a girl I spent a lot of time with, and we kept our clothes on. Rana. She was from Turkey. Her family was very rich. But she was smart and charming as hell. Beautiful. But not stuck up about it. I think you'd have liked her.
God, he's so boring it makes my teeth itch. Sorry.
Sounds like she was special to you.
She was. Maybe she felt the same. But things never felt together. Training, you know.
You know of any intentional exposures for certain?
No one knows. Doesn't mean they didn't happen. As big as the exposures were, it was hard to track down accidentals. It was different then. No one knew the potential, so there wasn't a lot of regulation. Anything Canadix did was gold. I'm not saying they intentionally detonated drives over our outposts, but in retrospect, they were damn quick on the scene.
Jump Zero's a long way from home. What was it like?
The Grand Gateway to Humanity looks a lot better in the vids. But that's my own baggage, Commander. No bearing on this.
It's a big galaxy, Lieutenant. Who knows what will come in handy?
If you say so, sir. Besides, I've got my past squared away.
Yeah, he doesn't get any more interesting, trust me. Well, there's a few things that are said later on in the game which are pretty interesting, but yeah, as a rule, he's that interesting. Poor Kaiden. He just wasn't well written, I don't think. I think he gets more interesting as the games go on, but at least Ashley has something about her, you know? Has a bit of chutzpah.
Oh, hello, Shepard.
Are you okay?
I don't know. Your ship is amazing, and your crew's been really great to me, especially your chief engineer. But I just sort of feel out of place. The Normandy runs so smooth it feels like we're not even moving, and the engines are so quiet. How do you sleep at night?
The silence wakes you up?
Back on the flotilla, the last thing you want to hear is silence. It means an engine's died or an air filter shut down. I guess you don't have to worry about that here. But old habits die hard. But it's more than just the silence. This ship feels so empty. It's like half the crew is missing. Back home, I couldn't wait to go on my pilgrimage. I couldn't wait to get away from the crowds. Now that I'm out here, I kind of miss them.
Sounds like the pilgrimage isn't just about finding resources for the fleet. Maybe it's about teaching you to appreciate your people and culture.
You're probably right. We Quarians spend our whole lives traveling. But really, we never leave home. The pilgrimage has given me a whole new perspective on our culture. You know, there's always a few who go on their pilgrimages and never return. I always assumed something bad happened to them. But maybe they just wanted a different life.
You do plan to return to the migrant fleet, right?
I could never abandon my people, Shepard. I will go back eventually. But we have to stop Saren first. Otherwise, I might not have a home to go back to.
I should go.
See you later.
Here we go. Natalia doesn't really have a huge arc in this. In fact, she doesn't really do much of anything at all, to be honest, but...
Command, how are you?
Why did you want to be a C-Sec officer in the first place?
That's a good question. There were several reasons, I guess.
Like what?
Probably the same as most officers. I wanted to fight injustice, wanted to help people. I guess my father had something to do with it too. He was C-Sec, one of the best. I grew up hearing about his accomplishments or seeing his picture on the vids after a big arrest. He's taking my resignation pretty hard.
He's not impressed that you're going after Saren?
My father's a C-Sec man to the bone. Do things right or don't do them at all, he says. He thinks I'm being too rash, too impatient. He's worried I'll become just like Saren. He actually talked me out of becoming a Spectre when I was younger, for the same reasons.
You were asked to be a Spectre?
Well, I was targeted as a possible Spectre candidate. Me and about 1,000 other Turian military recruits. I could have received special training, but my father didn't like it. He despises the Spectres. He hates the idea of someone having unlimited power with no accountability. He wouldn't like you, Commander. No offense.
Spoken like a true C-Sec officer.
Yeah, it's a speech I've heard one too many times. But Saren's not going to play by our rules, C-Sec's rules. If you want to nail Saren, you need to send someone who isn't restricted by policies and procedures.
You're a quick learner, Garrus. We'll beat him at his own game. It's the only way to stop someone like him.
I'm right behind you, Commander.
So, we've got Saren on the run.
It won't be long now. Saren's good, but I'm better.
Good? He's rotten. To the core. I could tell as soon as I met him.
Why didn't you tell me this sooner?
I would have if I thought it was important.
I'll decide what's important. Now tell me how you know Saren.
This was a while ago. A bunch of mercs were bragging about a job out near the edges of the Terminus systems. They said it paid well and the boss was never around to ride them. They said he was looking for more men, too. So I checked it out.
I didn't know Saren was openly recruiting mercs.
It wasn't that open, and he only showed his face once. We'd been raiding ships in the area for months when we took out this massive cargo freighter. Our biggest haul yet. I was on board checking bodies for valuables, looking for some extra credits. That's when I saw him.
What did Saren want with the ship?
I don't know what he wanted. He was just moving through the ship, watching. A couple of the mercs called him by name, but he never spoke to them. Never spoke to anyone. I had a really bad feeling about him, so I got the hell out. Didn't even wait to get paid.
What kind of cargo was the freighter carrying? What was Saren after?
I don't know. All I saw on that ship was food and medical supplies. There were some basic weapons, but nothing big. If there was anything of value on that ship, I didn't see it. That's why I didn't mention it sooner.
Whose ship was it?
There was a Volus trading vessel. Big one. Lots of guards. But they were no match for us.
That's the only time you saw him?
Yeah. Didn't even know who he was. Still wouldn't if I hadn't joined up with you. But my instincts were right. Every other merc on that mission turned up dead within a week. Every damn one.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
Commander, you have a minute to talk?
I keep an open door policy. If you have any concerns, lay them on me.
All right. I know things are different aboard the Normandy, but I'm concerned about the aliens, Vakarian and Rex. With all due respect, Commander, should they have full access to the ship?
Don't mince words, Chief. What's your concern?
This is the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. I don't think we should give them free rein to poke around the vital systems. Engines, sensors, weapons.
I'm not gonna lock them in the sleeper pods for the whole trip, Williams.
I'd be more comfortable if they didn't have access to engineering and the CIC. We, humanity, have to learn to rely on ourselves.
Standing up for ourselves doesn't mean standing alone.
I don't think we should turn down allies. I just think we shouldn't bet everything on them staying allies. As noble as the council members seem now, if their backs are against the wall, they'll abandon us.
The Council's had a grudge against us since the First Contact War.
I don't think it's a grudge. I think it's... Look, If you're fighting a bear, and the only way for you to survive is to sick your dog on it and run, you'll do it. As much as you love your dog, it isn't human.
I wouldn't do that.
It's not racism, not really. Members of their species will always be more important to them than humans are.
These seem like deeply held beliefs, Williams. What made you think this way?
My family's defended the Alliance since it was founded. My father, grandfather, great-grandmother, they all picked up a rifle and swore the oath of service. I guess we just tend to think of Earth's interests as our own.
It doesn't sound like you've worked with aliens before.
No, sir. Mainly I've been groundside, part of the surface garrison forces. I did get a rotation on a space station for training. Every Marine a rifleman, every rifleman ZG certified.
That's odd. Your record is spotless and your technical scores are exemplary. You should be serving with the fleet.
Anyway, that's why I haven't served with many aliens, Commander.
So, the one thing I really like about this game is that, you know, you can hear her out. You know, she is being racist, technically, but you can hear her out and say, hey, you know, I understand where you're coming from. Or you can just tell her to shut up and be like really SJW about it. Now, in newer BioWare games, when the writing staff changed, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 didn't really suffer from this. Mass Effect Andromeda really did. And so did Dragon Age Inquisition to a lesser extent. But, you know, these three choices wouldn't be here in later BioWare games. It would just be, hey, you're out of line, you're being such a racist, oh my god, why are you being... That's all you can actually say to it, because that's what BioWare want you to think and want you to say. Because they're basically a company run by SJW assholes at the moment, who don't want to hear anybody else's dissenting opinions. They just want to shout into an echo chamber in their game and have you clap along like this. So, you know, BioWare got a lot, and I mean a lot of good press back in the day, because they were one of the first companies to do like gay relationships in their games, and to you know, give a voice to minorities and things like that. And back in the day, I used to really support that. I was really behind that. I was like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. Yeah, you just do what you want to do. You write what you want to write. That's great. Because, you know, if a character was gay, that wasn't their entire character, okay? Their entire character wasn't, I'm gay. It was just, I happen to be gay, but I've got all these other really cool things going on, and I'm a really cool character. You know, there's one thing that Joss Whedon said when he was talking about writing Firefly, and that was, you know, if you need to create a character to fill a stereotype, if you need to create a character to fill the gay stereotype, you've already failed. You know, their sexuality should have no bearing on whatsoever, on whether they're a good character or not, or whether they're interesting or not. If one of your main cruxes of a character is that they're gay and you want to make a point about it, then they're a terrible character and you should stop writing immediately and go back to school, essentially. But
you're lucky. I lost my family on Mindoir. Are you related to anyone I'd have heard of?
Couldn't say, Commander. I read about Mindoir. The Alliance screwed the pooch on that one. Should have had a bigger garrison. Is that why you're out here? To take the fight to the pirates?
I'm here to put hypervelocity rounds through the heads of bad guys.
Most satisfying part of the job, Commander.
All right. I can see where your concerns are coming from, Williams. But this is a multilateral mission. You're going to have to work with aliens, like it or not.
It won't be a problem, Commander. You say jump, I say how high. You tell me to kiss a Turian, I'll ask which cheek.
Would you kiss anyone I ordered you to?
That depends, sir. If you ordered me to kiss a superior officer, that would be a violation of the regs concerning fraternization. That would make it an illegal order. I'd be required to decline and relieve you of command. Sir.
What's your opinion on the last mission?
Not sure I buy Dr. Tassoni's story about her and her mom not talking. They're family, right?
I think she's being straight with us. Or at least, I don't think she lies very often.
Yeah, she's probably really bad at it. Hey, want me to ask her about her sex life? Might be illuminating.
What?
I don't think she's used to teasing. Good-natured or otherwise.
No fun, Commander. Too bad those ruins got destroyed. I mean, they lasted thousands of years. That's impressive.
We'll talk later, Williams.
Looking forward to it, sir.
Ugh. A lot of Mass Effect fans don't like Ashley Williams to say she's a bitch. Whereas she can be a bitch, at least she's something. You know, remember the conversation we had with Kaiden before? Do you remember anything about it? You probably do, because it was like 5 minutes ago, but I bet you had to think about it. You won't, if I have this conversation with you in the morning tomorrow, you'll know exactly what Ashley was saying and what she was talking about, because there was something to it. It was interesting, you know. Even though she was being a bit racist and she was being a bit this and a bit that, she was being something. She's a character. Kaiden is basically a vanilla wafer in human form. Oh, I'm about to run past. Sorry, Kaiden. Didn't mean to bitch. Sorry. That's going to be the part for tonight. I will be back on tomorrow. And yeah, essentially that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.